Wow. Do you know what I hear?
Sound of music.
I hear this music back. I kind of like it. You know, it is another day of the week. But it's my most favorite day of the week when it comes to a long week. Today's Friday, noon Eastern somewhere. Welcome to the Rant Network. This is your go-to podcast for unfiltered, unapologetic discussions hosted by myself, Stuart Brisgell, and that other guy wearing that lovely CCM jersey, David Sullivan. We tackle a diverse range of topics, candid conversations, bold opinions, whether it breaks down the latest headlines, exploring pop culture, debating politics, delving into complexities of modern life. We offer a platform from every perspective. So grab a seat, settle in, sit back, relax. This is going to be a wild ride. You know, David and I were talking in the little, we call it the green room, and we were sort of mumbling, what should we rant about today? And I stumbled across this topic where David salivated over my lack of experience and knowledge in this wonderful place called the Middle East, where I made a statement where Donald Trump has made a change in the Middle East. And he is going through trying to bring civility to a region that has not known civility in a very, very long time. And, you know, on top of trying to bring peace through the coined phrase strength, he's managed to capture trillions of dollars of investment in the United States. And considering that Donald Trump is not recognized as a globalist, like another North American head of state is, they all seem to be rolling out the American flag, doling out their cash, and only trying to be a part of the American dream. But when a people are so politically and ideologically different, how is Donald Trump able to grab their money? David?
Oh, come on, Stuart. You smart boy that you are, asking such a silly question. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump is on a tour, and let's start with the high fives. As Stuart said, trillions of dollars, including Boeing, who he ripped a new tush this week about a plane. Okay, GE. You're talking about big bucks. 200 planes ordered by, commitment to Boeing, the biggest order they've ever had in their lives. Now, these are not deals, by the way, that were made in 24 hours. These were deals that were all consummated on this trip. Okay, and that's what this is all about. Let's just be real. It didn't just all of a sudden we showed up in Qatar and 24 hours later we have $1 trillion in deals. This takes time. And these business leaders who flooded with Donald Trump to this Saudi Arabia, to Qatar, to UAE, were looking to close the deals, and the biggest and the best of America shows up. And it's great news for America. Prosperity, business, employment. This is what Donald Trump has said from the very beginning. So, high five, DT. But low five, kicking the nuts to DT. I'm going to bring civility. Let me remind everybody that a zebra doesn't change its stripes here, and the region is still hateful. This is still an area, and if you listen to the way they talk, peace, Stuart. Peace is going to come and is not coming. Let's get real. And while Donald Trump is trying to take high fives by saying, look, and even as we speak, look, Trump gave a nuclear deal proposal to Iran. Oh, come on. We've been here before. All of a sudden, you're going to tell me Iran is going to act any differently than Hitler? Hitler told, the world, okay, peace in our times. Neville Chamberlain came back like an idiot in 1938 saying, look, I signed a deal. I have a piece of paper with Hitler. And we knew what happened a year later. The Iranians cannot be trusted. You can't change your statement from 1 minute to the next, Mr. Trump. You said they're not trustworthy. You said we have to beat them up. And now you're telling me they're friends. Whoa. Now, you're in a region that is very petrified. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and UAE. There's a reason, Stuart, that Iran has come up in this conversation. It's because these three nations are all run by who? Kings. They're all autocratically ruled, family ruled. And what does Iran like to do? Put Hezbollah, put Hamas, put the Houthis in these kinds of regions to dethrone these families. All of a sudden now, these Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE are looking at Donald Trump and saying, we don't want to be dethroned. Our family power cannot be taken away. Save us, Mr. Trump. How do we do it? What could we do for you? But here's the problem in the process. Go north to Turkey. They're a disruptor to the region. Go south in the region. You still have a problem. Qatar is still a state-sponsored terrorist country. Get over yourselves, people. Hamas has been housed there since day one. And yet you're sitting here telling me we're looking for peace? Brett Baer from Fox News interviews the Prime Minister of Qatar, and I applaud the fact that he said we should release the prisoners, but alleged that Israel is guilty and no Palestinian state, no peace in the region. What does one have to do with the other? You want protection in the region from Iran? You want protection? Do you see development? The only of those three states that had the balls to sign the Abraham Accords and to do any deal with Israel was the UAE. But Qatar continues to support state-sponsored terrorism. Let me remind everyone here how many billions of dollars were funneled from Qatar, Saudi Arabia, these rogue countries, to the universities that we're bitching about for the last year and a half that has been promoting nothing but hate. Did Donald Trump demand an end to this? Did Donald Trump demand an end to funding terrorism? Not a word on this. Just high fives on how wonderful America is. So what does the United States do? Sure. Donald Trump didn't pretend to pump fist, Prince Suleiman of Saudi Arabia like Biden fucked up a few years ago. But instead he high-fived him and said, yeah, whenever you're ready, come on into the Abraham Accords. But in the meantime, did you stop anything against Israel? No. In fact, you dumped your ally. You left her at the altar. When you needed to be with Israel in this case and fight for her, not behind closed doors, but in front of these crowds, saying you need to stop the state-sponsored terrorism, you stop funneling money to these areas, to the universities that you are having problems in. On one hand, Donald Trump calls to cut Columbia and Harvard, but where is the money coming from? Qatar, Saudi Arabia. So I'm trying to understand here, why is no one bringing this up? Why do we continue to give Donald Trump a high five? Forget the plane, forget the, Chuck Schumer, forget all this kind of stuff. DT, good for you for what you brought to the U.S. But what harm did you cause this week by pretending that you're a peacemaker? You're not a peacemaker. You're a deal maker. Don't delude yourself. If you're chasing the Nobel Peace Prize and you think bringing Syria to the table and the world is going to change, Syria is slaughtering Christians, Druze, and Muslims, and no one is saying a word about this. There's where Donald Trump doesn't get a high five, but a kick in the nuts.
Well, let me ask you a question, David. If you have to go and have dinner at a table and there's nothing on the table you like, but you still have to eat a meal, what do you do?
Stuart.
Do you eat the bread and butter and skip over the meat and chicken?
Hey, Stuart, I'll answer the question. Who invited me to this table? Like, what are you referring to?
Well, you see, you kind of went into a geopolitical rant.
Well, hello, what do you think we do here?
I know, I understand. Whereby you point out that the autocrats are in jeopardy with any rise in Iran. Now, in saying that, the President of the United States was, of course, greeted with love and attention because we have all the military and the might. And without a partner like the United States, in some fashion, their autocracy will likely cease to exist.
Maybe. Yeah.
Would likely.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure. Okay.
So politically speaking, the need of the United States or the need of China or the need of Russia would be needed for these autocrats to survive. They will not survive without one of the three. But the United States is the one of choice because it is the most powerful in the world.
Let me remind you that Saudi Arabia cozied up to China and Iran during the Biden administration.
Correct as a backstop. But that slowly dwindled away. But what the facts are, there will come a time where they're going to need the United States, which is why they're giving the United States billions of dollars.
I get it.
Now, the extremists in these countries that are supporting this college insanity, that needs to be called out, David. I totally agree. But let me ask you a question, David. Do you start to cozy up to try and jawbone these people into civility? Or do you just stand on your hand and say, I'm not doing anything unless it's 100% of this in one shot?
No. Hold on.
You made an assumption because it wasn't in the press, because no country would want this in the press in the region, because they don't want to be destabilized by we're siding with Israel either.
Oh, Stuart,
so again, you don't know, nor do I, what dialogue went along with.
No. I'm sorry. First of all, it's arrogant for an American to use the word civility. I'm bringing civility to this region. It's arrogant. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Wow. Even folks, and this is American ideology. I'm saying I'm bringing civility to the region. Spare me. Let me remind everybody something about this region as well. Human rights violations. Anti-gay legislation, hate towards the blacks. This is a region that still promotes all this stuff. So let's get real of who you're going to bed with. Number one. Number two. Hold on. You asked.
How'd you destabilize the CCCP? How'd you destabilize Russia?
Oh my God, Stuart! You know what, Stuart? I adore when you do this. Can you tell me? The United States is beholden to Saudi Arabia for oil. Okay, there's money, there's investment. Let's get real. This is what Donald Trump wants. He keeps calling it the art of the deal. I'm not denying that he shouldn't do it. It's great. It's wonderful. Keep doing it. What I'm trying to say is let me remind you who you brought to the table. You brought a terrorist to the table from Syria who overthrew a government to become president. You lauded this guy by being, hey, he's the guy. He is killing, slaughtering Christians, Druze. Israel has had to go in and protect the Druze community. Up in the north, the Kurds are in there. Like, Syria is a freaking mess. And you went to the guy and you said, you're a peacemaker. You are a peacemaker. This is the ignorance that Americans continue to bring to the Middle East. Because today's hero, let me remind you who also did this, Stuart. Obama did that in Egypt when the Muslim Brotherhood overthrew Mubarak. Don't get caught up in the shiny penny syndrome. Wow. You got to know that there is a big problem here. And you went ahead and you said to Syria, listen, Syria is funneling arms into the region from Iran. If you stop Syria, great. But be careful who you go to bed with. And
David, David, I applaud your myopic view, which isn't necessarily wrong. You're focusing on a single way to do business.
No, sir.
Hang on, David, I let you rant. You need to look at history. Yes, the Arab history and the Judeo-Samaria history is long. But let's look at modern history, how the United States single-handedly destabilized the largest threat to the world, which was the USSR. And what it did by destabilizing the region in some aspects and then hooking them into a more moderate viewpoint through economics and through partnership. And that's how Gorbachev got to tear down that wall. And again, the military buildup, the ostrich in the sand, the walls put up, the war might doesn't work in a region like the Middle East.
Really?
The CCCP went in there 3-4 times and got eviscerated to
Could you
try.
call it the USSR, not the CCP? You know, like at least let people know that you're not a Soviet and you're calling it by the Soviet letters, by the American letters. Let's go with that.
The USSR went into Afghanistan, Syria, umpteen times, and was decimated for them trying to get control of a region. The control of that region isn't going to be done through strength and might. The control or the moderation of that community will be introduction to capitalism. And that's the only way that's going to free that region.
I'm listening to this arrogance. It's unbelievable. Come on.
It's
Come
not
on,
arrogant.
let me put it this way.
You know, Canada is a useless country in the political scene.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You're
caught up in the American flag.
What has Canada done in the world to
you know what, Stuart, if you want to hurl, if you're great at hurling insults, thank you so much, but you still are, you call my view myopic. I want to thank you for calling it myopic. I can tell you one thing.
Yep.
American arrogance in this region has hurt people for generations. America knows best. America taking down the USSR, taking down the USSR brought you Putin. Taking down to think that today you are going to change a region that is so disparagingly ultra wealthy and ultra poor. There's
a generation. Exchange, David.
Stuart, Stuart, please. You're the belief that you're going to change this region, Stuart. You're not. You've empowered it. You continue to make the same mistake, believing America understands the culture of the region. You didn't. You don't. And I'll tell you with this, and I'll wrap this up. Okay, because we're already overboard. When you come in like other presidents have, saying, I will bring American capitalism to the region in a variety of different ways. We will provide Americanism. You only benefit a certain group, but the rest of the population, it happened in Egypt, it's happened in Jordan. You have peace treaties there, peace treaties, not Abraham Accords, peace treaties. And the people continue to hate Israel and call for its destruction. If this is what you call peace, oh boy, dude, I don't think you guys get it. And this is not. And the peace treaty with Egypt is now what? How many years? Almost 50. And it's barely held by a thread, because when Jimmy Carter threw Israel under the bus to make a peace deal, and Donald Trump right now has to be really careful not to throw his ally under the bus to force a deal that will hurt the region even further. It doesn't work as well and as smoothly as breaking down the USSR. But
David, before you wrap this up, as you like to say that I'm an American and I have this globalist type view, and how United States tossed Israel under the bus, I would just like to ask you a question. Can you name me one Canadian prime minister that has supported Israel in the last 20 years?
Yeah, Stephen Harper.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much. On that note, Stuart, let's wrap it up, because I don't understand why you think that America. Hold on, you're telling me that America, just because America is stronger, Canada's weak. Foreign policy, that justifies American policy?
No, America has done more for the state of Israel than Canada or any other nation on this world.
What relevance is that to the region? What relevance is that?
Okay, David,
explain it to me. What's the relevance?
You're right, David. You know, the only country on the planet that has done more for Israel, other than Israel, has been the United States. That's it. The conversation is simple. No other country has done anything for that country other than
unbelievable.
David,
so that gives you the right to tell me your
views are myopic. Absolutely, I enjoy using that language. See, I'm not yelling and screaming today, David. I'm being very quiet, very serene. I thoroughly enjoy us doing this rant. I thoroughly enjoy taking the opposite side of just about anything you're going to talk about. In fact, I think I can count out of the 800 episodes that we have done that maybe there are 20 that you and I have agreed on the same episode. Really, it's been that little. You do a fabulous job. You're a fabulous person, and you really do know a lot of the issues, especially in the Middle East. The only point I was trying to get across today, the only thing is, there is no other country other than Israel itself supporting Israel for the most part. That's it. And with the good grace of the United States has provided it a lot, or in fact, I would say 90% of everything that it's needed to do it itself. No other country has been there for Israel in the last 75 years at the level that the United States has. Is it a perfect relationship? The answer is no. Has any president been a perfect partner for Israel? No. And there's been no perfect prime minister either. And I'm sorry, I forgot about Stephen Harper. I'll give you that. He was prime minister for less than a second. And that's another
How
thing.
is 9 years less than a second?
Because he had no continuity in government. He was in and out.
No, he wasn't. 9 years in government, is it called in and out?
How many years have the Conservatives been in power in Canada?
Stuart, you're off the
30
track.
years
You're off the rails here with what you're saying here. Again, I appreciate what you're trying to do. If you want to tell me that America is better than Canada, I give it to you. That America in general has been a better friend to Canada, absolutely. Let me also remind you that from 2008 till 2016, Obama tried to destroy Israel. So while you're right that the United States has done whatever up and down, I agree with you. It doesn't negate, it doesn't change what's happening now in the region. If the United States, Stuart, if the United States is a world leader, we know it, and Israel's first to say, thank you, friend, for helping us in doing this. All I'm saying is, don't get caught up in your high fives right now that you've changed the region. You brought civility. You just said it. You're bringing civility to the region. Mm-hmm. All I'm saying to you is don't get caught up in that, because that's not real. What is real is go look at the culture, go look at the attitude, go look how the money is, what's happening there. Listen not to the American press, but to the Arab media. By the way,
the Arab media on Reuters the Arab media in Reuters, just hot off the press, is saying, as the U.S. president landed in Riyadh on Tuesday, and while war is raging in Gaza, the normalization for Saudi-Israel process is being pushed and moved along.
You're missing you're missing my question. But my question is to you: who sponsors Al Jazeera? Qatar. Who housed Hamas? Qatar. Who has blamed Israel for almost the entirety of the conflict? Saudi Arabia, Qatar. So when you tell me that you're trying to change something and you keep hearing this, all I'm saying, Stuart, the whole rant was one thing.
I understand, but it's okay. I'm enjoying this. And, thank God we cut this podcast up to little pieces and put it out there. There's a lot of good little snips here, and I'm loving this. I got one more thing I want to throw at you. And again, this is an area of your expertise. Post World War II, where did the Nazis flee? Where did they end up?
The Nazis went to Argentina, but also, let me remind you, the United States and the Soviet Union.
Mm-hmm. And where else?
No, they went all over the world. Any country that harbored them. Sure.
Okay. So all these countries that harbored. Is Argentina a wonderful country?
I'm still trying to understand the relevance.
Okay. I'm trying to tell you that these people from Hamas that need to be brought to a court or a grave, as I agree with you wholeheartedly. Yeah. We don't disagree with that. These people have blood on their hands at a level in which no other person has in this planet, and need to be brought to justice. And whatever that justice may be, may it be served quickly, swiftly, and painfully. And we agree with that.
Yeah.
They ran to the only place that was willing to accept them with probably the money from the people in which they had, which is also another issue. So they ran to Qatar. Now, in Qatar, in the United States, in Canada, in every single country in this world, you have people that just hate. They hate Jews, they hate blacks, they hate Chinese, they hate Japanese, they hate. But the hate for Israel is purely unique. Let's separate it now, okay? Where the hate for Israel is purely unique. It still doesn't change the fact that people that have hate will find each other. Is it the entire Qatari government? Maybe. We don't know.
Yes, we do.
You know, but you know, the entire Qatari government, as we started this rant, is an autocrat state.
Yes.
It will choose itself before anything else of all.
So you prove my point.
And no, but to prove my point, if their sustainability is being threatened, are they going to choose a partnership with the United States with civility, or are they going to choose the animals in Iran that are going to tear its walls down?
Let me remind you, my friend, and I hear what you're saying, and I will agree to a point, but I will disagree. But is that what it matters, right? I should just agree with you? I just want to understand.
You agree to a point, which means we're going down, and I'm articulating a point maybe better.
I think what you continue to believe people is Qatar without, it's funny. I don't understand. You want to put, do you make conditions? Like, let me give you a perception. Qatar gives you a plane. You give them whatever they want. Did Donald Trump say, you know what, Al Jazeera's got to go? Al Jazeera's causing harm in the United States, let alone, in Israel? Nope. No, I didn't hear any of that. I didn't hear anything about, Donald Trump saying to Qatar, you need to stop the state-sponsored terrorism. Didn't hear any of that. I didn't hear anything that really related to helping the region. I heard stuff that helped the country. Listen, the United States has a military. Listen, Qatar built a military base for the United States with their own money. Everything is beautiful. What a wonderful gift. It's great. Everybody's happy. It's a strategic location. Again, the United States is looking out for whom? And so if you're going to help a friend in the region by saying, I'm helping you, but I'm not going to give you what you really need. You want to listen, Stuart, we're way over, but here's the question for you. If these Middle Eastern leaders are all saying, we can have peace in the region, we just need a Palestinian state. How do you get it done? Because that's all they keep repeating. That's all you heard from Saudi Arabia. That's all you heard from Qatar. So how are you going to get that done?
David,
Trump, how are you going to get it done?
David, April 13th, 2024, 300 missiles launched from Iran. Jets scrambled from the base that you called from the sponsor of hate, Qatar, to intercept and to aid, and fighters were launched from every single Abraham Accord country to intercept the 300 missiles that were going to hit Israel. I will give you, this is not a perfect place, and it is far from going to be resolved with a high five for Donald Trump. However, David, if we didn't have the United States or Israel, her land, have the partnerships and agreements as thinly iced they are, Israel would have been stricken by more missiles and caused more damage. Again, a perfect world? No. Is it a better world? Maybe.
No.
But if it is, maybe. But saying it's this or nothing, I'm sorry, David. The world, in my opinion,
when you start, you're a smart guy, and you know how to deal with people. But let me ask you the question.
Mm-hmm.
Do people negotiate the same way?
No.
Do people have the same values?
No.
Do people have the same objectives?
No.
So let's be careful here about the results of what you're trying to do. I started by saying, super job, Americans signing trillions of dollars. Your economy is going to get a lovely little boost. All I pointed out was You had a chance to move a pawn in the Middle East in a way, and instead of being so excited about getting gifts and high fives and lauded, you had to go one more step, and it didn't happen. And that's what I'm saying is the opportunity lost.
I'm glad you brought up chess, because if you play chess and you've played it for any amount of time, which I have, you mentioned the least powerful instrument called a pawn. And where most novice chess players play is they think that every piece is weighted by its power on the board. Let me explain to you. A pawn can put you into check, and a pawn can put you into checkmate. Therefore, again, in a firm believer that you can't get everything, and you can't get everything at the same time, and we only know what's in the front end, not in the back end of these conversations. And I have a little faith that we came a little better off today than we were yesterday, David. And yes, United States gets the high five for the money. He gets the high five for the 400 plane order by Qatar, the free plane to replace the wonderful big beast. But David, that's not what I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on you're taking these autocrat countries and you're taking their money and you're allowing them to be, hey, you're part of our club, but wait a second, you need to sort of now allow us to do this. And this allowed us to knock down 300 missiles in the sky. And on that note, David, I'm pressing the button. All right, that brings us to an end, because I'm not letting David speak anymore, because he's just going to try and insult me and try and cut me up and try and tell me how foolish I'm American and fearless I am. But this is just a fun end to an episode. We truly appreciate you. We love you. Thank you, guys. We ran double the time. And David says my music's too loud, so I'll just take it down lower. Thanks, David. I don't know what I would do without you. This has been like 45 years of just fun party.
Say goodbye, Stuart.
Say goodbye, Stuart. Bye, David.